Thank you. The quorum required by Article 63 of the Company's Articles of Association is 3 members present in person or proxy. Could the registrars kindly confirm that the quorum has been formed? Thank you. The meeting is therefore duly convened and properly constituted. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the annual general meeting of our great company, which I now declare open. With your kind permission, may I sit? Thank you very much. I wish to inform you that this meeting is being held by proxy, further to the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In addition, it is being streamed live to enable our shareholders, regulators, and others who are not physically present follow the proceedings. May I request that Sir Sonny Nwosu say the opening prayer.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Father, we thank you for bringing us here safely to discuss the past year, the present, and the future of our great company. Father, we pray and believing that you will endow us with the wisdom, knowledge, and everything it takes to have a very successful meeting today. And for whatever we are going to decide here, Father, I pray that your grace will guide those that will implement it. I also pray that everything happening in the whole world today, especially the coronavirus, will not be our portion in Jesus' name. Father, I pray that you will protect the board, the management, the staff, and especially the shareholders to reap the fruit of their labor in this company. Father, I thank you very much for making it possible for us, and I pray at the time we will be leaving this meeting, we'll all be fulfilled that we have done our best for the upliftment of this company. In Jesus' special name I pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, Sir Nwosu. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 7 items of business before you today. You will all have an opportunity to move or to second each of the motions put to the meeting and to make contributions as you may wish. There will thereafter be an opportunity for questions on each motion. Please ensure that you raise your hand and receive approval before you speak. Microphones and amplifying equipment have been placed strategically so that everyone should be able to hear. I would therefore request that you speak audibly and commence by stating your names. Before we proceed to the formal matters of the agenda, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you the directors of your company, starting with my good self, Otumba Bimbola Ogunbanjo, the chairman of your company. Thank you. On my extreme right is Miss Olua Sheun Oni, director. On my left is Mr. Darren Bennett Voci, the CEO of the company. To my immediate right is the company secretary, Ms. Bola Adebisi. In view of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, our other directors are joining the meeting virtually. Nevertheless, I would like to introduce them to you. The other directors are Dr. Zulikat Urala Abiola, Ms. Olufunmilola Adefope, Mr. Haran Labos Harry G. David, and Mr. Nicholas Mamulis, and Mr. John Masterudis. I would like to introduce the Audit Committee members. The shareholder representatives on the committee are Professor Caleb Oshutogun. You're welcome, sir. Chief Simeon Odubi. Virtually. He's looking at us virtually. Chief Robert Igwe Kedu. You're welcome, sir. The director representatives on the committee are Dr. Zulikat Abiola, Ms. Oluwaseun Oni, and Ms. Olufunmilola Adefope. May I also introduce the representatives of our auditors, Ernst & Young, Mrs. Omolola Alebiosu. Our registrars, Mr. Ayola Adeola, representing Cardinal Stone. The Corporate Affairs Commission had informed us that they may not be able to join this meeting physically, but will join us virtually. The representative of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Anthony Izuagbe, is monitoring these proceedings virtually. The Securities and Exchange Commission would also be joining us virtually. I wish to also introduce the shareholders present who are also acting as proxies for the shareholders that cannot be physically present due to the pandemic. They are Sir Sonenwosu, Mr. Nona Awo, and Mr. John Ogundipe. I would like to add that my humble self and Mr. Darren Benedvoci are also nominated proxies for this meeting. Before I call upon the Secretary to read the notice convening this meeting, may I announce that in accordance with Section 2758 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Register of Directors' Holdings will be available for inspection during the meeting. Similarly, in accordance with Section 2522 of the Act, the record of directors' attendance at board meetings during the year is also available for inspection. Also available for inspection is the record of members' attendance at audit committee meetings during the year. I now call on the company secretary to read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, directors present and watching virtually, the nominated proxies here present, regulators, and everyone, good morning, or good afternoon. Notice is hereby given that the 46th Annual General Meeting of Better Glass Plc will be held by proxy at Eko Hotel and Suites, 1415 Adetokunbo, Ademola Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Thursday, July 2nd, 2020 at 12 noon for the following purposes. 1, to lay before the meeting the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2019, together with the directors, auditors, and audit committees' reports thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to re-elect directors retiring in accordance with the company's articles of association. 4, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 5, to elect shareholders' representatives on the audit committee. Special business. 6, to fix the remuneration of the directors. 7, to consider and if thought fit, pass the following resolution as an ordinary resolution of the company. That pursuant to the Nigerian Stock Exchange rules governing transactions with related parties or interested parties, a general mandate be and is hereby given to the company to enter into recurring transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations, including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms. Notes: 1, compliance with COVID-19 related directives and guidelines. The federal government of Nigeria, health authorities, and regulatory agencies have issued a number of guidelines and directives aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Particularly, the Lagos State government prohibited the gathering of more than 20 people, while the Corporate Affairs Commission issued guidelines on holding annual general meeting of public companies by proxy. The convening and conduct of the AGM shall be done in compliance with the said directives and guidelines. 2. Proxy. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, restriction on mass gathering and in line with CSE guidelines, attendance at the AGM shall be by proxy only. A member entitled to attend and vote at the general meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote instead of him. A proxy need not be a member of the company. Consequently, members are required to appoint a proxy of their choice from the list of the nominated proxies below. 1. Otuba Bimbola Ogunbanjo, Chairman. Mr. Darren Benebuchi, Managing Director. Mr. Nona Awo, Sir Sonny Nwosu, and Mr. John Ugudipe. Stamping of proxy forms. A proxy form is enclosed in the annual report. All instruments of proxy shall be deposited with the registrar at Cardinal Stone Registrars Limited, 358 Herbert Macaulay Way, Yaba, Lagos, by email to registrars@cardinalstone.com not less than 48 hours before the time for holding the meeting. The company has made arrangements at its cost for the stamping of the duly completed and signed proxy forms submitted to the registrar within the stipulated time. Live streaming of the AGM. The AGM will be streamed live online. This will enable shareholders and the other stakeholders who will not be attending in person to follow the proceedings. The link for the AGM live streaming will be made available on the company's website. Dividend. If the dividend recommended by the directors is approved, dividend will be paid on July 3, 2020 to the shareholders whose names appeared on the company's register of members at the close of business on June 11, 2020, e-dividend. Notice is hereby given to all shareholders to open bank accounts, stockbroking accounts, and CSCS accounts for the purpose of dividend. A detachable application form for e-dividend is attached to this annual report to enable all shareholders furnish particulars of their accounts to the registrar as soon as possible. A report. In order to improve delivery of our annual report, we have inserted a detachable form to the annual report and hereby request shareholders who wish to receive the annual report of Better Glass Plc in an electronic format to complete and return the form to the registrar for further processing. In addition, annual reports are available online for viewing and download from our website. Closure of register. The register of transfers shall remain closed from June 15, 2020 to June 19, 2020, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Nominations for the Audit Committee. The Audit Committee consists of 3 shareholders and 3 directors in accordance with Section 359, subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004. Any member may nominate a shareholder for election as a member of the Audit Committee by giving in writing notice of such nomination to the Company Secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. Right of shareholders to ask questions. In accordance with Rule 19.12, subsection C of the listing rules of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, shareholders have a right to ask questions not only at the meeting but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such questions must be submitted to the office of the Company Secretary on or before June 25, 2020, by order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. It is necessary to draw the attention of shareholders to the measures we have taken as a responsible corporate citizen due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In compliance with federal and state directives, the number of people present at this meeting is within the limit of 20. In addition, we've taken several precautionary steps, including the provision of hand sanitizers, face masks, and gloves at the venue, as well as the checking of temperatures and ensuring social distancing between attendees. Before we move to item 1 on the agenda, let me present to you the chairman's statement contained in pages 10 to 14 in the annual report and accounts already circulated. Otherwise, you're taking us. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished shareholders. We'll now move on to item 1 on the agenda. I take it that since you have read the report and accounts for the period ended December 31st, 2019, for the required statutory period, you have been able to go through it. I would now like to formally lay before the meeting the annual report and accounts, including the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. I will now ask the representatives of the auditors to read the report of the auditors, which is on pages 39 to 42 of the annual report and accounts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members of the board and the shareholders present. My name is Auditor, and the audit report is on page 39 to 42 of the financial statements. With your permission, I will read the audit opinion and basis of audit opinion on page 39 and sorry for that. On page 39, then I will read the report on all the laws and other regulations on page 42. Can I go ahead, sir?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Independent auditors report to the members of Better Glass Plc. Report on the audit of the financial statement. Our opinion. We have audited the financial statement of Better Glass Plc, which comprised the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2019, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statement, including a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the financial statement gives a true and fair view of the financial position of Better Glass Plc as at 31st December 2019 and its financial performance and cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, issued by International Accounting Standards Board, the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matter Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and in compliance with the requirements of Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act No. 6, 2011. Basis for our opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAS. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with International Ethics Standards Board 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. We confirm that 1. We have obtained all information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2. In our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company as so far as appear from our examination of these books. And 3, the company statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with books of accounts. Signed by Omolola Alebioshu, dated 30th March 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. In accordance with the provisions of Section 3596 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, the Audit Committee duly carried out their duties as required on the accounts for the period ended 31st December 2019. I now ask the Chairman of the Audit Committee, Professor Caleb Oshitogun, to read the Audit Committee report, which is on page 38 of the annual report and accounts. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board, distinguished shareholders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Report of the Audit Committee report for the year ended 31st December 2019 is on page 38 of the report before you. In accordance with Section 359C of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, LFN 2004, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Act Number 6 of 2011, we have reviewed 1, the scope and planning of the audit requirements, 2, the external audit management letter for the year ended 31st December 2019, as well as the management responses thereon. The effectiveness, 3, the effectiveness of the system of accounting and internal control in the company, and 4, it should be 4, not 3, please. Ascertain that the accounting and reporting policies of the company for the year ended 31st December 2019 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 31st December 2019, together with the audited account, was satisfactory. We were satisfied with management responses to the auditor's findings. Signed by members of the Audit Committee, who include those representing the board, MS Oluwase Abimbola Oni, Dr. Zulika Turaola Abiola, MS Olufumilola Adefokwe, and members of the Audit Committee, including Chief Robert Igwe and Chief Simeon A. Odubiyi, and signed by my humble self, Adeniyi Oshuntogun. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. In accordance with Rule 1912C of the listing rules of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, shareholders have the right to ask questions, not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting. And such questions must be submitted to the office of the company secretary. Sir Nwosu, you have a comment?
Mr. Chairman of the board, the fine son of our daddy, I want to first and foremost congratulate the board for holding this meeting, for being part of the proxy AGM, more so with your responsibility as the president of the stock exchange, which we very much appreciate so far. I have few points to raise because you already have our position with you, which I'm not going to talk about, in order not to. Distinguished fellow shareholders, my name is Sir Sonny Nwosu, National Coordinator Emeritus, Independent Shareholders Association. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I want to refer you to page 6. Page 6, where you have track record of strong growth. The first item there is showing earning per share. Our earning per share for the year under consideration was 116 kobo. That's 1,116 kobo. That was the earning of the share for the year 2018. Today, Mr. Chairman, you are proposing for our approval a dividend of 1 naira 67 kobo. Now, looking at all of you, looking at the MD, looking at Sheung and everyone, we can see that you're all very happy. There's prosperous on your faces. And the shareholders who are shareholders will not also mind looking like those of you at the high table. Mr. Chairman, the point I'm trying to make is that I believe you should not be a wicked board. But the indication is very clear that you did not consider the plight of shareholders who are going through this difficult time by declaring 1 naira 67 kobo, which of course means that out of 1,116, you are giving us only 167 kobo. Mr. Chairman, going through the account before us, I do not see any reason why we cannot get more than 3 naira from the company. Your reserve is very, very good. Your share premium account is very, very good. It is not out of place. And in fact, you don't need to take any money from the retained earning to pay us a good dividend, because you are conserving about 4-point-something billion naira out of the 5.8 or thereabout you made as profit after tax. And you are giving us less than 1 billion naira out of it, which is not good. It's just not good for shareholders. And this is a company that does not pay interim dividend. We know you may say because of the difficult terrain. Mr. Chairman, you are giving us 835 million naira. That's what you are giving us. You are retaining 4,745 million naira. Who are you retaining this for? Do you plan to use it to do obituary in the newspapers for your shareholders? I think we should, judicial issue tells us to balance our thinking among the directors, the management, the workers, and the shareholders. Mr. Chairman, this is not good enough, probably because you do not have minority shareholder, a representative of minority shareholders on your board who feels the pulse of the little shareholders. And that's why you are treating us this way. So that's also a pointer for you to look into that aspect, that the minority shareholders must have somebody to represent them on the board, despite the fact that the technical partners are having about 70% of the entire business. There is still a minority element in the share structure, and we need to be represented. Mr. Chairman, I want to appreciate John, who is leaving the board. From what you have told us here, he's a master of the business. But for whatever reasons that is making him to leave the board, we must keep a relationship with him, whereby we'll continue to tap on his experience on this business. Mr. Chairman, let me take you to page 7 of the annual report very quickly. Yes, we are expanding. And in expanding also means that we intend to take advantage of the good environment of the business. That's why we intend to put in 12 billion naira in building and expanding our furnace. But I also want to appeal to you that you are living witness what happened to a company that was producing glass, Oluwa, precisely Oluwa glass. The moment they closed their furnace to expand, they had a problem. And it's not very easy to restart the furnace itself. So you have to be very careful and make sure that the environment is right for you to close down whichever line you want to close down and start expanding, so that there will not be a stoppage on the production of our product. But however, Mr. Chairman, let us look at sectorial distribution of, on page 7, beer and malt, 57%, soft drinks, 17%, wine and spirit, 19%, pharmaceutical and cosmetics, 7%. From what you have shown us here, I believe there is room for us to increase production, especially on beer and soft drink. Because today, the consumers, there are some people who prefer to buy beer in bottle because it's cheaper to the can. So also, the plastic is disposable. And you can see everywhere in the country, every gutter that is cleaned up, you will see plastic and all this and that inside. And I recall one of the AGMs I attended of Delta Glass. The management said they were going to make arrangement on those things. Our business, as I've seen here, is not to produce plastic containers. It's to produce bottle containers. In every business, there must be lobbying and all this and that so that they will increase the usage of bottles. Since bottle is a returnable product, and we have to make this to their own understanding to really know, because this is not good enough. Pharmaceutical, 7%. It's not good enough, except if we still have some other companies producing this pharmaceutical thing in the country. So I think we should strengthen our business on that area and do more in convincing our customers to do more of the bottle issue. Mr. Chairman, in this annual report, you are telling us that we are going to spend 12 billion naira in the refurbishment and expansion. So I don't want to see it that because of that, that's why you have shortchanged the shareholders, because you have a huge 31 billion naira in reserve earning, which of course you can use to do whatever you want to do. And if you are to add it to the line of payables and other things, I have calculated it. If you say we are having payables, if you say we are having payables and trade and other, current tax, dividend and borrowing, we are exposed to about 15 billion naira in this account, 15 billion naira. So if you add 12 billion naira to it, it will give us 27 billion naira, which is the expected exposure. And this can also come from the retained earning without shortchanging the shareholders. Mr. Chairman, finally, I want to appreciate all those that made it possible for us to return profit in this business. The 2020 is going to be very challenging. We are very much aware of that because of the pandemic. That is the more reason why that you should have applied a situation where shareholders will be very happy and go home with a better money, because we know that 2020 will be very difficult. Mr. Chairman, before I leave the mic, I want to appreciate the company secretary as well as the directors, management and staff, and also shareholders for keeping faith to this company. but pay us interim dividend to make up the gap that you have created with 167 naira, 1 naira 67 naira dividend that you have. Kobo, yes, that you have paid. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to be here to represent shareholders. God bless all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sir Nwosu. Thank you. Sir, please.
The chairman of the board, other members of the board of directors, fellow shareholders here present. My name is John Ogudipe. I am the Vice President of the Nigeria Shareholders Solidarity Association that was founded by late Akintunde Asalu of blessed memory. Mr. Sonny Nwosu has dealt a lot with some of the points I have here, but I still have a few to mention. Let's go to start from page 4. Where we have the financial highlights. It's very commendable that most of the indices are looking upward. Not red, but blue now. We can only hope that we'll keep it up, and by next AGM, we have better result too. The dividend you've given us this year, 167, like you rightly mentioned, is too small compared with the earnings. We will expect you to look into that next year so that we can have better dividend. In line with that is the issue of your reserve. I think with this reserve, we need or we demand for bonus issue next year. You gave us bonus that was the year 2008, which is over 11 years ago. I think in the current year, with this reserve, we'll be expecting bonus, no matter how small, 1 to 3 or 1 for 4. It's not too much. Then next, you mentioned the issue of whistleblower in this annual report. I want to find out how successful are you going with this policy? Because we know what is happening in this country. The federal government has this policy too, but implementation has been the problem. I hope we will not run into that. Implementation in the sense that you give some incentives to people who are the whistleblowers. Do we cooperate when they do this? And are they really protected so that they don't incur the wrath of the other members of staff? I think we should look into that too. So that's why I'm asking, how successful has this one been? Then I want us to go to the page where we have the list of our registrar and even the corporate office. Under this, that's on page 9, we shareholders would prefer that the head office, you include the email of the head office in this annual report, especially for people who are outside Lagos and they want to contact the head office, whether you are in Maduguri, you are in Akwa Ibom, or wherever you are. You don't have to travel down to Lagos to do any business with the company. So also, under that page, you have our registrar too. Their email and their phone number is not stated here. And shareholders do a lot of business with these registrars, especially people outside Lagos, that we can contact them by email and they have telephone numbers, so that instead of traveling down to Lagos. I hope you look into all this. On page 24, we have the attendance of members of the board at meetings, which is very, very good. We just hope you continue with that. And in particular, audit committee members, they performed so well that they all attended the meeting during the year under review. And we are not surprised because of the quality of the people we have on audit committee. And we trust them that they will perform, and we should please keep it up. Finally, I just have to commend the company secretary, who is very friendly with shareholders. You can call her any time of the day. If she misses your call, be sure she will call you back. And we hope this relationship will continue. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Yes, Nona Awo.
The chairman.
Is it on?
The chairman, other members of the board, very distinguished fellow shareholders. My name's Nona Awo. Mr. Chairman, let me take off from where the first two speakers ended it. I will be suggesting, given what we have on page 90, which is value added, and taking that along with page 6, which is the pictorial of the company's performance, that come next year, that we should begin to develop a policy. Yes, I know that the payout has moved from 13 to 15, but let's have a policy that the minimum that we will be paying out any given year will be 20% of profit. That way, I think everybody will be much more satisfied. Yes, because with 20%, given the nature of business we are in, I don't think we run out of cash. But for the finance, I want to confirm on page 13 and 16, this is supposed to take up in the third quarter of 2020. Yes, I also found in the account that in 2 years we spent 14 billion already in new assets, and with 12 billion for fairness. Is there a possibility of this being completed, or are we expecting a shift, given the lockdown that we've had? Or is it a situation where the equipments are already here and what work is going on despite the corona attack? I will also be asking that for the future, let's begin to look at on page 70, power is a major cost in our operation, currently in excess of 5 billion. Are there things we can do to also help that cost go down? Notwithstanding the size of power that we'll need in both plants. But the one that is of bigger concern for me, still on page 70, is the fact that we spent 128 million on legal services in 1 year. I will be hoping that you will throw more light. Yes, I also did find on page 88, however, that litigation is one that will be requiring 7.2 billion. Should they all go through against us? But that notwithstanding, I don't think we will need to spend 128 million on legal services to be able to pursue a case of 7.2 billion. So I just want some clarification in that regard. I will also be suggesting that going forward, the board structure needs to be a little more sensitive in relation to the areas that our plants are also located. Yes, before now we used to have representative of Delta State on the board. Even if they sold down to a little below 5%, we need to be careful because if there are crises today, we'll need people from that side of the country to be able to appeal to them for them not to have a negative impact on us. So one of the things I'll be hoping that the board will do is to set the nomination committee to work. So I come next year, we'll have a representative from that area of the country. I will also be suggesting very strongly on page 33 and 85, if you look at the reserve, like it's been mentioned, vis-a-vis the paid up and the authorized. You should be bringing for shareholders' approval next year, God granting life, a bonus of 1 for 5. 1 for 5 will take us to exactly 300 million, which is the paid up. So don't come in here with anything less, because like I said, haven't given us only 10% of payout for 3 years, and then you moved it to 13%, now 15%. This is the time to compensate us. By the way, the foreign partners don't sell the shares. We are the ones that sell, and we determine the capitalization that you proudly displayed on page 7 as well. So let's begin to have a situation where that becomes one of our attributes. I will also be suggesting that going forward, we look at the issue of receivables. Receivables is still a challenge for me, especially if we have receivables that is in excess of 10 billion. And of this amount, 50% is related. It's something that we must work on. Because if you also look at this account on page 76 to 77, even in the year under review, we are expecting that there will be 75.5 million credit loss, again, from receivables. That is a good size of even the dividend that you are giving us this year. But going forward, I think it's something that you need to also address. On page 84, unclaimed dividend by this time next year will be in excess of 100 million. Yes, 100 million may be small, but given the size of profit that we'll pay, 100 million is a lot of money. So I'll be urging us to look at other ways other than printing unclaimed dividend, because like my people will say, you have a priest who is preaching that people don't come to church, okay? But he's saying it in the church, and you can only tell those people who are in church that people don't come to church. So if you keep telling the same set of people who come to AGM that, oh, you have unclaimed dividend, you are not addressing the right set of persons. So we must get around the issue of unclaimed dividends so that this number will not continue to grow. On a final note, Mr. Chairman, on page 7, I find that your description says that we export to 4 countries. But if you look at the map there, you have a 5th country painted. So what exactly is the plan with the 5th unnamed country? I know the country, But since you didn't name it, I didn't want to announce that, before Sierra Leone, there's a country that is also painted blue. And you said that is for countries where you have exports. So what is it that is in plan for that unnamed country? But much more importantly, the light glass that we are producing, what impact is that likely to also have in terms of exports? It's on that note that I want to thank the management in particular for their contribution, and I'm sure that they will continue to have the board's proper direction to also be able to do well, and in the process we'll also be hoping that the board will do much more. Like it's also been said, I want to join in thanking John, having been on the board for 10 years, and hoping that whoever you'll be appointing to also come on board will be one that will also bring value, because the essence that we've invested is to get value. Much more importantly, that we'll also be approving director's fee. So if we approve director's fee, it means that we're recognizing, and if you don't then bring the value, then the director's fee may need to go down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nona. I believe that's all we are taking, since there are only 3 shareholder reps here. Let me first of all commend all 3 of you for graciously accepting to even be proxies in the first place. I see your faces in the papers regularly, up and down the corporate field, at AGMs. In this environment we're currently operating, to be moving around so frequently takes some guts and takes some commitment for the service of your constituencies, because you are not doing it for yourselves, you are representing others. And of course, the companies would invite you. You could easily turn us down and say, look, carry your thing, I'm not interested, just send my money to my account. But you are here. And Sir Sonny has been doing this ever since I've known him, and he's still here. So let me commend you all for really being here, and for taking time to go through the accounts. As you would appreciate, some of our directors are unable to be here. There are some comments and questions which require our finance director, Shankar, as you all know. He's stuck in India and can't make it. But we have him online, and he'll be able to address some of those questions relating to the accounts. Let me first attend to Sir Nwosu's comments about the dividend, and I align your statement about an increase, seeking for more dividend. We press for more dividend every year. That is something that we are always pressing for. And you made a good point about our retained earnings, that our retained earnings are robust enough to pay and increase our dividend. However, we must appreciate that your company is not leveraged. It's not a highly leveraged company. And therefore, because of that strength, that is what it has been able to use to finance the furnace rebuild that it regularly does, and the new furnace which it is about doing. There is no debt in that project, and that is what is able to enable the company to be sustainable, because this business is not one that can afford to be in a position where it is indebted. There is a threat to the sustainability of the business. Yes, there was a slight increase of dividend from 13 to 15%. Again, we are operating in a very high interest rate environment. And the company has done well not to tap or be too persuaded to go into term loans to finance these furnace rebuilds, because these are highly capital intensive expenses. And it has been very prudent in the way it has expended those funds. As you're seeing globally now, the companies that are going bankrupt globally, the Fortune 100 companies are going bankrupt. And that is because of the fact that they don't have a strong balance sheet. Your company is strong. We're going to even withstand this pandemic. I can assure you that. We're resilient. The numbers are resilient enough that you will be paid, hopefully, again next year, a dividend, when other companies are not, are either being wound up or are unable to pay their dividend. Minority shareholder representation. Yes, again, we have tasked our nominations committee, HR nominations committee, to be active in the next coming weeks and months to identify a replacement, first of all, for our good friend John, because as John is retiring, there's a lot of institutional memory that is going with him, and also the fact that he is a core manufacturing man. And so we have already identified that gap, that we need to have somebody who is carrying that trait to join us and add value to that board. And also at the same time, if you can have a person who has 2-in-1, that is, he's also a Deltan, like Nonna has recommended. A Deltan, if we can have a Deltan John Mastrudis, it will be a package, a 2-in-1 package. That's what I've tasked the HR committee to help us with identifying. So we will be looking firmly at that. There is also a comment Sanwosu made about the expansion. When you looked at the pharma, you talked about pharma. I think the CEO can speak to that. Darren, would you like to speak to the expansion? I think you spoke about going into expanding more into pharma or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the...
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the question. So, pharmaceuticals last year were not a very strong part of our portfolio. This year, I expect to see that number will be higher. There's also one segment which is missing from here that in 2020 will be there, which is food. So we are now also making food jars in Delta and selling them all over the country and in exports. If you don't mind, I'll take also the questions regarding exports and countries on the map right now as well. So the countries that we're targeting going forward are predominantly West Africa. We're not only focused on West Africa. If there are other opportunities overseas that appear, one of the markets that could be of interest to us is Brazil, for instance. We're specifically looking at getting more into Francophone West Africa, Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal being two countries that we have an interest in exploring further. The GF2 project was mentioned here as a very important milestone for us. And with COVID-19, we have a pandemic which has stopped us in our tracks. We have all of the materials in the plant ready to start when the airports reopen, when we can bring in the engineers required for us to complete the project. We are still hopeful that we will be able to complete this year, but it may not be possible depending on the development of the pandemic. So I think that covers everything.
Thank you, Darren. Let me quickly move on to Mr. Ogundekpe's comments. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogundekpe, for the commendation of the indices. And you asked about the whistleblowing policy. If you visit the website of the company, you will see the policy clearly stated there. And I can confirm to you that the policy is working effectively. Reports are coming through the proper channels. It's being dealt with through the proper channels. And, what we found. Thank you on that. I think that's about the issues you raised. My good friend Nona, yes, I wish we could increase our dividend policy to 20%. It's my prayer also. But I know that I'm investing in a very conservative operation. And I know that one of the benefits of that investment is my capital appreciation. I know that this is a company that I cannot suffer a capital depreciation. And as a proficient analyst like yourself, I'm sure you monitor the share price of our company, and we haven't lost in that regard. But yes, we shall continue to press for an increase in dividend. Hopefully, when we get to that point, we can pat ourselves on the back and say we increase at least regularly as we see the business improving. The board structure, I think we've addressed that has been worked on. This time next year, we're going to, or even in the course of the year, we're going to have adequate replacements. Madam Secretary, there is comments that from Sanwosu and even from Nona about the unclaimed dividend, that it is going higher. Do you have any contribution about this unclaimed dividend, why these numbers are going higher? Can you address that?
Thank you very much, Chairman. The unclaimed dividend position is about 31 million. That's the funds returned to Bitter Glass as at today. And we're working with the company secretariat to continue to enjoin shareholders to mandate their accounts. Shareholders from time to time come to our office. We use electronic channels, we use emails, we use text messages to encourage shareholders to mandate accounts. And we're also working with the SCC. There are certain programs the SCC is doing to also certain campaigns that they're using to inform shareholders to mandate their accounts with registrars. We believe as we need to make progress on all of these fronts, we'll continue to achieve progress in the reduction as well in the amount of unclaimed dividends we have in the annual reports.
Thank you. Nona also mentioned about the high cost of power. We certainly will need to look into that and focus on that, and how 5 billion is not a small amount of money, but we know what it costs to buy to buy gas, and we're the ones we have to keep those furnaces going permanently, and therefore we are literally at the mercy of our gas suppliers. But we will have to look at how alternative sources of power, and I'll task the management to look at that and see how that can be brought down. Legal services is high, but I can assure you it is not being paid to the law firm of the chairman. There are various lawyers that the firm uses. And of course, as you know, that in Ughelli, where we operate, there are a lot of land disputes there. And they just file all kind of actions. And it's a permanent thing. It comes every year. So lawyers have to be engaged. You go, you come, they file another one, they go to Supreme Court. So senior advocates are not cheap. And the area of receivables, too high. Management, again, will be tasked to look at that. In fact, if we have Shankar, is he on the line? Our finance director, if he's on the line, if you can address that issue of the receivables. Is he?
Yes, sir, I'm on the...
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you, sir. I will also go a step back and address the increase in costs of legal and professional. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. So, I will go a step back and also address the question on legal and professional.
Yes, go ahead.
The legal and professional does not include. Yeah. That expense head does not include only legal, sir. It includes it does not only include legal costs. It includes a number of professional costs, a number of professional related costs.
Yeah, Shankar, we can hear you clearly. Just
costs
speak.
Which
yeah.
we pay to a number of professionals we use, sir. Like what we pay to consultants for tax audits. Yeah, and we use consultants for tax audits, for NOTAP technical fees assistance. We do tax health checks. We do robust consulting with respect to evaluation of our board performance, etc. So what has actually led to an increase has been the costs which we have spent on professional fees during the year. It's not only the legal costs. The legal costs are generally fixed in nature in terms of retainership fees and vary according to the litigation suits which we have during any specific year. Coming back to the original question on trade receivables, the trade receivables have gone up in line with the increase in sales compared to the last year. That's one reason. The other reason is also the high quantum of sales which we have achieved in the Q4 of 2019 is reflected as trade receivables at the end of the year. And we clearly always comply with the credit policy of the organization and ensure that all the large customers also adhere to their credit terms. All the overdue amounts which were there as of 31st December have been since collected during 2020, and we don't have any major outstandings as of date, sir. So it's well within our control, and we strictly follow the credit policy envisaged by the company. We have specific credit terms for each type of customer, and we do have a strong follow-up procedure to make collections. And during the year 2020, we had a strong collections drive also to improve our cash position.
Thank you very much, Shankar. I believe that you're satisfied with that. So, on that note, let us kindly move on to the...
There are some more questions relating to accounts. If you want me to address them, I can do that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. There was a question relating to administrative expenses from the Independent Shareholders Association. They had mentioned that the administration expenses have gone up by about 165 million compared to the previous year. Actually, if we refer to the schedule, it will be very clear that during 2018, we had a credit impact of 410 million coming from the closure of gratuity scheme in 2018. If you remove the impact of this credit, actually in 2019, our overall administration expenses have been lower than 2018. So we strongly focus on cost controls and cost measures to ensure that we don't exceed the targeted budgets in these controllable costs. There was another question on expected credit loss, which has gone up from 2.89 million to 17.5 million, which is on page number 88. They've requested for more detailed explanation on this. This is in compliance with the IFRS 9 related standard. The calculations are basically provided by the statutory auditors, and if we refer to page number 56 of the annual report, the basis for calculating the expected credit losses has been explained in detail by the auditors. There are factors like the GDP growth, oil price movements in the economy, exchange rate movements in the CBN, and the inflation rates. They take into account such factors to arrive at these credit loss figures. So it's been explained in detail on page number 56, and it's strictly in line with the IFRS 19 requirement. There is another question which relates to other income. There's been a decrease in the other income compared to 2018. They have asked why there is a high profit which we have made from sale of fixed assets. During the year 2019, we have identified fixed assets which have been obsolete and not in use since they were more than 10 or 15 years old. Items like compressors, forklifts and IS machines which have been declared to be not in use. So we had collated them and taken actions to dispose these assets, and we have generated a profit also thereon. So this happens once in a few years, the disposal of fixed assets, and one such year was 2019. There was another question on the directors' attendance and the profiles. The date of appointment of the directors has been clearly mentioned on page number 23. Also, that table on page number 23 clearly indicates against each director whether the director is a non-executive director or an executive director on one hand, and also the aspect of whether they are independent or not. So it's very clearly visible. With regard to the web address or the email addresses of secretary, it's already available on the website, sir. We take into consideration the suggestion of the shareholders that we will start including the email ID of the registrars also on the website so that they can access it. On the unclaimed dividend, I think the CSL or the registrars have clarified that they are constantly in touch with the shareholders to ensure that they are able to disburse the dividends on as and when the claims happen. They are focused, which we are aware of, and by the end of the year, I believe that the 31 million which has been unclaimed will also significantly reduce in the next 6 months, sir. With this, I think I've covered all the questions relating to the accounts, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ogunupe, you still have a comment?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh. Well, I thought I'd dealt with that. Yes, we will look at it. We will look at that and see how we can do that. So the bonus shares issue is also is wrapped up with the resources of the dividend payment and the dilutive effect. Again, these are things that hopefully we will give it more thought and see how we can at least please the shareholders, because this issue of bonus has been coming up time and again. And so we'll give it good thought and see what we can do in the coming year. Thank you. There are 7 agenda items to be deliberated on today, and item 1 has been taken accordingly. I hereby call for a poll on items 2 to 4, 6 and 7 on the agenda, pursuant to section 2241, Companies and Allied Matters Act, and Article 66 of the Companies Article of Association. Therefore, voting for the resolutions in respect of the agenda items indicated above will be carried out electronically. Each shareholder has been given a voting device, and the results will be displayed online for all those attending virtually to view. Please note that as they are all ordinary resolutions, each resolution requires 50% of the total votes cast in order to be passed. I will now invite the registrars to provide an explanation about the electronic voting.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We've distributed the voting pads to the shareholders present and to all shareholders present. To vote for each of the resolution, we're only going to work with the top 3 buttons, number 1, 2, and 3. If you are voting in favor of a resolution, you select number 1. That's the one that has a green shade. It has a green shade on the voting pad. If you're voting against the resolution, you select number 2. It has a red shade on the voting pad. If you are abstaining from a resolution, you select number 3. Once you select your voting pattern on the voting pad, you have to press the OK button to be able to send your vote into the system. Please remember, once you select your voting pattern, whether you're voting in favor, against, or abstaining from a resolution, you have to select the OK button to send in your vote. The system only recognizes the last vote casted on the voting pad, and each voting process takes 20 seconds, and there will be a timer on the screen to guide the decisions. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We now move on to the second item on the agenda, which is a declaration of a dividend. The Board of Directors has recommended that a dividend payment of N1.67 per share, subject to 10% withholding tax, be declared in respect of the year ended December 31st, 2019. If the dividend recommended by the directors is approved, the dividend shall be paid on July the 3rd, 2020 to all shareholders whose names appeared on the company's register of members as of the close of business on June 11, 2020. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? None. Can I have a member move the motion that a gross dividend of N1.67 per share, subject to 10% withholding tax, be declared out of the profits for the year ended December 31st, 2019 to all shareholders registered in the company's books as of June 11th, 2020. Sir Musumus and Mr. Ogundipe, seconds. Thank you. I now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your votes.
The voting process has commenced, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's closed now.
We're going to take the votes again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The voting process has commenced now, sir. The voting process has ended. With your permission, I would like to read the results.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. For the resolution to declare a dividend, we have a total of 100% of total votes casted, both by proxy and in person and at this meeting, in favor of the resolution for 381,828,499 units of Bitter Glass PLC. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the results of the voting, as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to declare a dividend of 1.67 naira per share, subject to a 10% withholding tax in respect of the period ended December 31st, December 31st, 2019, has been passed. Thank you. The next item is the re-election of directors. At this meeting, Dr. Zulikat Uraola Abiola, Ms. Oluwaseun Abimsola Oni, and Mr. John Mastrudis are retiring in accordance with the Articles of Association. Mr. Mastrudis has indicated that he would not seek a re-election, while Dr. Zulikat Uraola Abiola and Ms. Oluwaseun Oni, being eligible, have offered themselves for re-election. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? Since there are no further questions, we shall proceed. Can I have a member move for the motion that Dr. Zulikat Uraola Abiola be and is hereby re-elected the director of the company? Mr. Ogundipe. Would another shareholder please rise and second the motion? Mr. Nona. Thank you very much. I now put the motion to a vote. Again, you have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your votes.
The voting process has commenced.
Thank you.
The voting process has ended. With your permission,
thank you.
With the results. Thank you, Chairman. For the resolution to re-elect Dr. Uraola Abiola as the director, we have a total of 100% of total votes casted both by proxy and in person at this meeting in favor of the resolution for 381,828,459 units of Bitter Glass PLC.
Thank you very much. Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to re-elect Dr. Zulikat Uraola Abiola as the director of the company has been passed. Re-election of Ms. Oluwaseun Oni. Can I have a member move the motion that Ms. Oluwaseun Oni be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company? Sir Nwosu moves, and Mr. John Ogundipe has seconded. And now put the motion to a vote. Again, you have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your votes.
The voting process is ongoing. The voting process has ended. With your permission, I'd like to read the results. Thank you, Chairman. For the resolution to re-elect Ms. Oluwaseun Oni as the director, we have a total of 100% of total votes casted both by proxy and in person at this meeting in favor of the resolution for 381,828,899 units of shares of Bitter Glass PLC.
Thank you. Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to re-elect Ms. Oluwaseun Oni as the director of the company has been passed. I now move on to agenda item 4. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the board to fix the remuneration of the auditors, Messrs. Ernst & Young, the company's independent auditors, pursuant to section 3611 of CAMA. Messrs. EY, Ernst & Young Nigeria, have indicated their willingness to continue in office as the company's auditors. Madam, please stand up for recognition. Thank you. Thank you. Please note that under Section 3572 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the retiring auditors are reappointed without any resolution being passed. But Section 361B of the Act requires that their remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? Since there are no questions, we shall proceed. Can I have a member move the motion that Messrs. Ernst & Young, Nigeria, having indicated their willingness to act as auditors, the directors be and hereby authorized to fix the remuneration and expenses of the auditors in respect of the audit to be conducted for the year ending December 31st, 2020. I see Mr. Ogundekpe's hands up. Thank you, Mr. Ogundekpe. And Nonawo seconded. I now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds.
We can start the voting process now.
Go ahead.
Apologies, Chairman. They have to change the resolution. Yes. Can you put the resolution to reappoint the auditors?
Okay, are we? Okay.
Apologies, Chairman. Yes, the voting process is ongoing.
Thank you.
The voting process has ended.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. For the resolution to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have a total of 100% of total vote casted both by proxy and in person at this meeting in favor of the resolution for 381,828,899 units of shares of Vita Glass Plc.
Thank you very much. Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration and expenses of the auditors in respect of the year ending December 31st, 2020 has been passed. I now come to agenda item 5. Item number 5 on the agenda is the election of the shareholders' representatives on the Audit Committee. The Audit Committee consists of 3 shareholders and 3 directors. In accordance with Section 3595 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, any member may nominate a shareholder for election as a member of the Audit Committee by giving in writing notice of such nomination to the company secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. A total number of 35 valid nominations were received for the 3 vacancies in the Audit Committee of the company. 32 out of the 35 nominators have withdrawn their nomination before the meeting. All nominators and nominees have been confirmed as shareholders of the company by the registrars. The 3 nominations left are as follows. Nominator, Mr. Matthew Akinlade. Nominee, Professor Adeni Oshutogun. Nominator, Mr. Egburude Moses. Nominee, Chief Simeon Odubi. Nominator, the 3rd nominator is Mr. Adeshina Tajuddin, the 1st. Nominee is Chief Robert Igwe. It appears that there is no need for an election to hold, as there are 3 nominees that are equal to the number of the vacancies in the Audit Committee. Therefore, the three director representatives, let me just announce the three director representatives of the audit committee are Ms. Oluwaseun Oni, Ms. Olufemilola Adefope, and Dr. Zulikat Wuraola Abiola. I therefore hereby declare that the composition of the audit committee of the company to hold office till the next annual general meeting is as follows. The shareholder representatives are Professor Adeni Oshutogun, Chief Simeon Odubi, and Chief Robert Igwe. The directors' representatives are Ms. Oluwaseun Oni, Ms. Olufemilola Adefope, and Dr. Zulikat Wuraola Abiola. I now come to agenda item 6, which is special business. Okay. May I, can you? To join them. Well, that is a discretionary selection. I leave that to them. But I will then ask you to please move. Okay, seconded by Mr. Ogundipe. I take it that is a unanimous election. Yes. Yes, I'm going to speak to it. Yes. Please be informed that as required by the CAC guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was obtained to conduct special businesses which require ordinary resolution at this annual general meeting. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the remuneration for the directors. Being a beneficiary, I will ask Mr. Darren Benedvoci to take this item.
Can I have a member move that the remuneration of the chairman in the sum of 750,000 naira per annum and 500,000 naira for each of the non-executive directors for the year ending December 31st, 2020 be and is hereby approved? Thank you, Mr. Ogundipe. And Chief, thank you. So we have our proposer and seconder. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? No.
I just feel that the same way you are shortchanging the shareholders is the same way you are shortchanging yourself. If the chairman of this company is kind of flawed. Mr. Chairman, sir, my observation is that the same way you are shortchanging the shareholders, and it's the same way you are shortchanging yourselves. If you pay a monkey money for a services, then the same thing will happen. I think my opinion is that we have to encourage the directors of Better Glass and pay them their fee very well, because this fee is the only thing approved by the shareholders. Other committee issues doesn't come, so they all summarize into directors' expenses, or at the end of the year, they form the table of whatever directors earn from the company. You have to improve the fees of the directors. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Nona.
I think from what I have on page 74, you talked about the amount paid to the chairman. There may be need for, since the auditors are here and they are not outgoing, it will be important that you break this figure further down. Otherwise, if they present that what they are asking us to approve is 750,000, and then what you find in the account is 5.885 million, then it becomes confusing. So if you need to break down sitting allowance, if there's any, fees, and other items, I think it becomes clearer than, because interestingly, even in this account, it's indicated that the chairman is the highest paid director. So there's also some conflict, okay? So make the work easier for everybody to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or chairman, did you collect 6 million?
Since there are no further questions, we shall proceed. I now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your votes now. Thank you.
The voting process has ended. With your permission, I would like to read the results.
Please.
All right.
Please.
For the resolution to fix the remuneration of the directors, we have a total of 100% of votes casted both by proxy and in person at this meeting in favor of the resolution. For 381,828,899 units of Bitter Glass Plc.
Thank you. Following the results of the voting, as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to fix the remuneration of directors has been passed. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, CEO. The points have been noted, and certainly the board will review those fees. Agenda item number 7, the following is special business. It is to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution as an ordinary resolution, that pursuant to the Nigerian Stock Exchange rules governing transactions with related parties or interested parties, a general mandate be and is hereby given to the directors of the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations, including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms. I hereby move that pursuant to the Nigerian Stock Exchange rules governing transactions with related parties or interested parties, a general mandate be and is hereby given to the directors of the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations, including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms. Can I have a shareholder rise and second the motion, please? Mr. John Ognipe, thank you very much. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the vote? If there are no further questions, I now put the motion to a vote, and you have 20 seconds to vote, please. Please go ahead and announce.
Thank you, Chairman. For the resolution to authorize the company to procure goods and services necessary for its operations from related parties, we have a total of 100% of total vote casted, both by proxy and in person at this meeting in favor of the resolution for 26,277 units of Bitter Glass Plc. Thank you.
Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution that pursuant to the Nigerian Stock Exchange rules governing transactions with related parties or interested parties, a general mandate be and is hereby given to the directors of the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties for the company's day-to-day operations, including the procurement of goods and services on normal commercial terms, has been passed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the agenda, and on behalf of the board, I'd like to warmly thank you for your attendance at this meeting and wish to express our appreciation for your continued interest and support for our company over the years. As we're in this period of this pandemic, I continue to encourage you to please stay safe and look after yourselves and keep yourselves at home if you don't need to go out. At this point, I would like to invite Mr. Ogundekpe to give us a short closing prayer. The national anthem first, after your prayer. Go ahead.
In Jesus' name. Our Lord and our God, we thank you for our meeting of today, which was conducted successfully. Father, we beseech thee that you continue to be with this company, that we go from strength to strength, and by the time we meet again here next year, our result will be better than today's own, in Jesus' name. Father, continue to save us as we are in the period of pandemic, that you keep us safe. We cannot protect ourselves. It's only you, God, that can protect us. Please continue to protect us so that by the time we meet again, we have full cause to glorify the holy name. For we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen.
With Vita Glass, we're a solid, profitable business, a good corporate citizen. We carry out corporate social responsibility projects, CSR, in our host communities, and our goal is obviously to deliver long-term shareholder value.
The company is compliant in all aspects of its business with the government and its agencies at all times.
So we try to partner with our customers as well as our suppliers to deliver a value chain that works for everyone.
We are contributing in no small way to the growth of companies in Nigeria.
At Frigo Glass, our people are the core of our business. They have imbibed our shared values over the years, our shared values of teamwork, responsibility, ethos, and excellence.
Our human capital is our most valuable asset, and we are committed to recruiting, developing, and retaining the best talent in line with our long-term policy and growth strategy.
To run the glass plant, we need very highly skilled and committed staff in our factory.
In our plant, everybody has 3 KPIs. First, safety. Second, quality. Third, productivity.
For making the glass bottles, we need raw material like sand, limestone, feldspar, soda ash, and then some fine chemicals also required for getting the coloring like a sodium sulfate, iron chromide, and iron oxide.
An area that's very important to us is our focus on sustainability and our environment. Glass as a packaging material is infinitely recyclable, and it doesn't leach any harmful chemicals into products that are contained inside. The furnace expansion project will enable us to grow our business considerably across the West African region. This $30 million investment will enable us to create some more jobs. We will also be producing a significant amount of additional capacity to support the growth of our customers, not only in Nigeria but also across West Africa. We're bringing in and pioneering a new technology for this part of Africa called NNPB, which is narrow neck press and blow, which enables lightweight bottles to be produced.
One of our greatest pride, of course, as a company is our inspection machines, because the inspection machines we find in Better Glass are comparable with anyone, anywhere in the whole world. We have different machines for different aspects of the bottle, and every single bottle, every single one goes to no less than 100 inspections to achieve the perfect bottle for our consumer. A bottle that has no defect and a bottle that is fit for purpose for our clients.
Our plant has capacity to produce 3.2 billion crown per year.
In Better Glass, our focus on quality is top-notch.
We don't compromise quality. They believe in excellence in all areas of our operations, in terms of quality, in terms of performance, in terms of customer empathy.
Working in Glass is an expression of teamwork. There is teamwork, there is understanding, and we just love one another. The best word I can use for that is that we're one big family.